Okay, guys, I want to talk to you a little bit today about the double shift. The double shift is when you have two variables that change at the same time, causing a impact in a supply and demand graph that will have to evaluate each variable separately. Let me show you how this works. First of all, you're going to have a sentence that's given to you where you have two independent clauses showing that two things are happening. I better write this correctly in the new machine. All right, so here's our example. Independent clause 1, show the impact in a shoe market if income rises, okay? And a new machine reduces the time it takes to make shoes, okay? Two different things happening. One of the things that people tend to do if they get this wrong on the double shift is they always make it a double shift. Anytime there's one change, you start to go down the what I call the road of madness, where you start to shift multiple variables simultaneously. There are only two shifts possible in as complex as we're going to get in Econ 101, and they would be indicated by two independent clauses like we have here. If you only have one thing happening, the shoe market, because income rises, two things are not going to shift. You have to have two independent clauses to have two shifts. So how would we solve this problem, and how do we get into a kind of a more complex situation trying to figure this out? Let me take you to this little paint program here, and we can see what I'm talking about, I think. So the first thing that happens is income rises, okay? And now I'm going to draw this supply and demand. Okay. Income for shoes rises, okay? Well, shoes are probably a normal good. Most people buy more shoes when they have more money. That's something, that's typically a normal good. So income rises. Demand for shoes goes up, okay? Perfect. Now I haven't labeled my graphs. Don't do this like me. Demand goes up. Go from demand 1 to demand 2. I'll show my little arrow. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, that means price has gone up and quantity has gone up. Typical change in demand, right? Quantity prime. Cool. So let's go back to our sheet. So, all right, we've solved the first one. If income rises, demand goes up. Okay, what does that do to price? Well, it causes price to go up, and it causes quantity to go up. And what I've done is I've just filled in what I call the double shift matrix. Okay, you can see that I've taken care of the first thing that happened. Income went up, demand goes up, price up, quantity up. But now we've got to figure out what happens if a new machine reduces the time it takes to make shoes. Okay, I'm going to do it on a different graph this time, and I'll show you the next one on one graph. And I should label price and quantity on my axes. For drawing purposes, I'm just going to do this like so. Okay, new machine, that's new technology. That's an increase in supply. Supply shifts to the right. Okay, we have a lower equilibrium price and an increased quantity. Right, there's my quantity prime, and there's my price and my price prime. Or price sub 1 and price sub 2, depending how you want to label it. They may give you directions on the FRQ. Price, should label the sub 1 and sub 2. It's not prime here. All right, you guys get the idea. Here's the issue. Look what we have happening here. Price down and quantity up. So let's go back here. Supply is increasing, so that's going to cause the price to go down and the quantity to go up. All right, do you see the problem here? With price, I have two things moving, but they're moving in the opposite direction. With quantity, I know an increase in supply and an increase in demand are going to put quantity up. So I can say for sure that quantity goes up. No problem, okay? But when it comes to price, my answer is ambiguous. Supply is causing the price to go down. Demand is causing the price to go up, okay? We don't know which shift is bigger here. We can't say it's unchanged because that would be supply and demand moving in equal magnitude. What if the change in demand was greater than the impact in supply? Well, then price would go up. What if the impact in supply was greater than the change in demand? Well, then price would go down. Since we don't know which one is bigger, we're going to have to say that the price is indeterminate, is the word we use. Indeterminate, okay? We don't know what happens with price because we just don't know the size of the shift, okay? Let's try another one here. Show the impact in the market for cat food if wages of cat food workers rise and cats are found to cause a new disease. Okay, well, here's clause 1. Wages for cat food workers rise. Well, that's a resource used to make cat food. That's an input. That's going to be a decrease in supply. Let's go back to my graph. Okay, we're going to draw the line of separation, the DMZ here. Okay, wages of cat food workers rise. Okay, so we'll draw supply and demand. This is what I'm going to do on the same graph to show you how tricky this is to figure out exactly the magnitude of the shift. So that's why we put indeterminate. Okay, so wages of cat food workers rise. Boom. There goes my supply. Boom. Boom goes the dynamite. Okay? Wages of my cat food workers rise. My price rises, and my quantity falls. So far, so good, right? Okay? So let's go back and do our matrix. Impact market for cat food if wages rise. Well, supply is going to decrease. That means price is going up, and quantity is going down. Cats are found to cause a disease. What do you think about that, cat? You cause a disease. Cat, you want to contribute to that statement? Comment on that? Meow. You going to comment? Not now, huh? All right. So let's go back to demand. Obviously, if cats are found to cause some sort of disease, for me, the disease is just insomnia. Don't walk on my keyboard. Don't walk on the keyboard. There she is. Okay. If cats cause a disease, demand for cats are going to fall, right? People are going to buy as many cats. And then you're going to be feral. All right, so enough talking to the cat. Demand falls. Whoa. Okay. Let's see it falls here. I've put the supply shift in too. Look at this. Okay. I could draw it that way, where the shift in demand outweighs the shift in supply, causing price to go down. Okay, but let's just look at the shift in demand first. Demand down means price down, quantity down. So let's go put that in on the matrix. Demand down, price down, quantity down. Okay, so what can I say for sure? I can say for sure that quantity goes down. But price, well, price is going to be indeterminate here, right? And use the language indeterminate because I don't know which shift is bigger. Let's go back to that drawing and let's redraw that real quick. What if demand falls just a little instead of the way I drew it? Boom. Our new equilibrium point would be here. In this case, the shift in supply outweighs the shift in demand, okay? So price would actually rise, as opposed to this graph showing demand falling beyond the shift in supply, causing price to go down. So honestly, if you ever draw these on the same graph for the AP exam, it doesn't matter unless they tell you one shift is bigger, how you draw it. The answer that you write up has to be indeterminate, okay? It doesn't have to, again, it could be equal too, right? We could go back to the same price. Here's the price that we started at. We've got a decrease in supply. If I drew this a little bit better, I have a decrease in demand causing us to be at the same price, okay? So on the double shift, let's just review. There'll be two independent clauses. For me, as you get more comfortable with this, maybe you don't have to, but to start, I would draw two graphs, solve for each one independently, what's happening to supply, what's happening to demand, then go back and make this little matrix. Okay? Okay, demand's going this direction, down, price down, quantity down. Supply is going down, price up, quantity down. Supply is decreasing, right? Remember, left is less. This is something that we learned in lecture. If you were in class, left is less. Right? So if you're reducing supply, reducing demand, you're shifting to the left. Right is more. Okay? Right is more. left is less. This is not a pre-election political commentary, just a way for you guys to remember your shifts here, okay? So this is a little tricky, but I hope you catch on. There's a couple other videos online for you to look at, and there's some practice problems, and I will do a review of this, actually Monday night. And you can always email me if you have any questions or concerns. Okay, good luck, guys.